Welcome today on Thoughts on Education. We have a dignitary from Vanguard Business School. Vanguard Business School is among the top popular B schools in Bangalore. Today we have Major General N. George, Director of Vanguard Business School. Major General N. George served Indian Army for more than 37 years and has held various leadership and strategic positions. Major General N. George is an epitome of leadership and currently associated with Vanguard Business School. So I would like to welcome sir on our platform.
Thank you, Marianne.
Yeah. So sir, beginning with our first question for this interview, you have held key positions in the Indian Army throughout your professional career. What are the key factors that keep you connected with the education sector after serving Indian Army?
Allow me to briefly amplify that when you say that I have served in the Army, I must also make a mention that I have served in the infantry, which is one of the combat arms. The essence of leadership in a combat arm is to be able to train, upskill, motivate your team so that you can create a good fighting entity. Let me also assure you that when I get involved in that, for that matter, any leader gets involved in that, you are actually upgrading yourself also. Now, when you look at this aspect of leadership in the combat arms, I look at it as a very natural transition to education. Yes, the profile of the students are very different. The environment is different. You need to adjust to that. But today when we talk about employability being an issue, I feel that people with my kind of an experience can lend a lot of value in terms of influencing people with life skills particularly.
Glad to know that, sir. So, sir, coming towards our second question. So, being the director of Vanguard Business School, what's your philosophy of leadership and how you describe your leadership style?
I would not like to bracket a leadership style in the typical theoretical sense when you look at an autocratic style on one end and a laissez-faire style on the other. We have to recognize that when you are in education, you have youth who, by my reckoning, are very well aware. The knowledge quotient is high, but the environment is very different. So with the result, I would look at a certain style which demands a lot of empathy and from people like me, a lot of adaptability also. So I would look at myself as an influencer rather than, the typical leadership style that you would talk about. I would look at placing myself in the position of hopefully endeavor to be a role model, both in the professional and the human angle point of view.
Okay. So coming towards our next question, how you strategize about the key programs and plans for marketing and administration of your school?
In Vanguard, we have a belief that the best marketing icon for us are the students. So our main focus is to ensure that we give the best learning value to students. If you can enrich students with the time that they spend with us, I'm sure that we have got a huge marketing potential right from there itself. Administratively, every institution has a certain structure. Let me bring in our kind of experience where, delegation of authority is an extremely important aspect of administration. We recognize the role that each individual plays within that structure, within that hierarchy. Ensure that you delegate responsibility and give people the freedom to act. All put together, it makes a very harmonious and an efficient functional environment.
Glad to know that, sir. So, sir, coming towards our next question, how does the curriculum of Vanguard Business School ensures the best practice of the industry?
For a 2-year program, the differentiation that we have is the first year is more structured, but the aspect of life skills and employability is always foremost with us. So how we bring that aspect into the first year is by getting into experiential learning. By that, I mean we conduct outbound sessions. You take students out. It may just be a trek or a climb or any such activity into which you can build in very useful learning lessons. The other thing is an emphasis on case studies. So all this put together is how we address the first year, but relatively more structured. When it comes into the second year, we are looking at live projects. Students are connected with various businesses. Let us hope that this year they will be able to physically be there. Otherwise, the online is a little bit of a limitation. So the live projects, the internship that most people go through, and it is with this that and then you bring in speakers from the industry. Many of our specialized subjects, we bring in eminent qualified speakers from the industry to be able to prepare them for the roles that lie ahead of them.
Yeah. So, sir, coming towards our next question. So, what do you think is the Vanguard Business School top priority for over the upcoming next year, for the next 10 years?
Next 10 years. Okay. Let me tell you that what we look for is to be a bridge between education and industry. And for that, we follow a philosophy that we call ASK. That is attitude, skills, and knowledge. In that order of priority. So we are not focused on the highest grades, but looking at people with attitude. And for that, we are making a conscious effort at reaching out to tier 2 and tier 3 cities. We have already done that, but the endeavor will be to broaden that base of ours so that we have a richer all India profile.
Glad to know that, sir. So, sir, coming towards our next question. When you first came to Vanguard Business School, what was your vision for the university or a school, I would say, and how it's evolved over time, and how far along is in implementing that vision are you?
I've been talking constantly about employability. So one of the focuses that I have had always, can we produce true professionals and model citizens? They have to go together.
Agreed.
Because you can create a professional. I'm sure many people will be working in that direction. But this business of model citizen implies a level of ethics and values that has been the focus, and that is the endeavor even today, to bring in those traits and characteristics into our graduates. How far have we reached, or where have we reached, and how far ahead? See, this is not a quantifiable thing. You are looking at something which today I can only term it as a work in progress. How far, let me say that, we have to factor in the realities of society. After all, students, whether they are joining an educational institution or whether people are joining the armed forces, let's remember that these are all products of the society that we live in. So those challenges will continue. We derive great satisfaction by seeing positive impacts. And I can assure you that positive impacts are definitely visible. They just require somebody to show the way.
Glad to know that, sir. So, sir, coming towards our next question is, what you would like people to know about Vanguard Business School, which they may not know?
I would say that, one of the aspects about Vanguard is we have a great faculty. I'm sure many people would say that, but here what I'm trying to bring out is that it is not just the level of competence, but it is people or students will be able to relate to a faculty more as a kind of a personal mentor, a friend, a philosopher, and a guide. That's the kind of people that we have. And to add on to that, we have a structured mentorship program. Each of us will have the entire student batch will be divided into small groups depending on the total number. They will be with a particular faculty. So this is a program wherein students are coming or being mentored not just on the academic element, also into the personal element. Issues that people may be having, they be carrying from wherever it is. You are, let's say, a counselor also in this process. So these are the things about Vanguard which we take very seriously.
Okay. So, sir, coming towards our next question, what do you see as a Vanguard Business School greatest strength?
Greatest strength. Yes. What I would like to say again is to bring out the aspect of the faculty. It's a high value that we have. We bring in people from the industry who are particularly good. And the one aspect I would like to also emphasize is that we take pride in calling ourselves a student-run institution. So a lot of responsibility is given to students for various aspects of the running of the institution on a day-to-day basis. And that is almost like an OJT, preparing people to be able to get into the workspace. So this kind of an experience, this kind of a feeling of getting into a leadership role is what we try and give to every possible student, and maybe sometimes in rotation.
Okay. Glad to know that, sir. Sir, coming towards our next question, what are some of the biggest challenges you see both for the higher education in general and Vanguard Business School specifically?
The challenges that lie ahead, I look at as I don't want to differentiate between what is for Vanguard and what is for higher education as a whole. Let me put it together.
Okay.
It's a common challenge that faces all of us is this much larger emphasis on the academic conduct of a program, which I'm sure we keep talking about it. But unfortunately, much of it continues in that fashion. So with the result, the aspect of employability, the aspect of upskilling people is still having huge challenges. I think that's the big issue that we need to look at. I earlier referred to model citizens. I mean, we just have to look at, how things go on within the country to realize that the potential that we have is so great, but we are not being able to leverage it to the extent that we should. So it is quite tragic to see our students go abroad and, attain so much. Why can we not make it happen here? So I'm talking about bringing in the experiential element which somehow needs to come in to be able to deliver the kind of, products that we are looking at.
Okay. I agree, sir, on this part. Definitely. So coming towards our next question, any suggestion you would like to give to the current youth and then aspiring students?
Advice. Focus on the little things, the big things will fall in place. Today, the impression I get is that there are plenty, we've got high knowledgeable youngsters who come in. But the distractions, particularly in terms of gadgets, is huge. Those gadgets, which can be excellent learning tools, tends to be an addiction. So with the result, students compromise on certain good habits. I can tell you, if people in the armed forces come out in a particular fashion, generally, it is because of certain very good habits that are instilled into you. The advantage is, very often it is forcibly, but once it comes into you, you realize as to how much you have gained from it. So my advice would be focus on good habits. It defines your character in time, and that is something that will see you through life all the way. So important to focus on the little things, rest will fall in place.
Thank you for the advice, sir. So, sir, coming towards our last question, how do you tend to establish a healthy relation and environment in your institute?
Again, let me fall back on my experience in the army.
Yes, sir.
We have no distinction in terms of which part of the country you come from, what caste, creed, religion you represent, all immaterial. Each one is valued for what he or she stands for what he or she is. I'm referring to respecting an individual, irrespective of the level, irrespective of what stage in the hierarchy a person is. Respect a person, value the goods that the person is able to deliver, and I can tell you, you can have a wonderfully functioning organization, which we take pride in even today.
Okay, glad to know that. So thank you very much, sir, for taking time out of your schedule and interacting with Collegedunia and giving us a valuable insight and feedback and a lot to learn from you, seeing your background. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mukesh.
Thank you very much, sir.
Wonderful speaking to you.